Alrighty, guys, even before hitting record on this segment, even before I had watched the trailer, even though I knew it was out, even before this trailer even came out, even before all of that, when this movie was announced that we're going to be talking about here, I mean, all of us knew. All of us had to have known. This was going to be a lightning rod. This movie was going to be a lightning rod. So let's talk about this new trailer for the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael. Now, I feel like, and I really think I do need to preface this segment with just the fact that let's acknowledge that Michael Jackson's life is messy. I mean, there are, and I'm not here to make any sorts of, this is not what this channel is for, by the way. We're not going to deep dive into any of that kind of stuff. I mean, you can go read online and you can go look up what people said and all those, what happened, but that's not what we're here for. And frankly, I'm not as, I was not super deep into the weeds of all the kind of stuff that was happening later on in his life. All to say, though, Michael Jackson, his life, just as it is with any musician, it seems like, any big musician that they've made a biopic about, like Freddie Mercury and all, like people's lives are messy. And Michael Jackson's seems especially so. So just wanted to acknowledge that, right? And it will be relevant to the conversation that we're going to have about this trailer as I talk about it. Acknowledging that, though, people have different opinions. People have opinions, I should say, and strong ones at that, about Michael Jackson as a musician, Michael Jackson as a person, things like that. And so just to say out front before we talk about the trailer, because I really just want to talk about the trailer, also just given the context of his life as well. I hope the conversation in the comments, if there is one that's robust, is respectful and just, let's not get too deep in the weeds of all this kind of stuff and just talk about this as a movie. Given the fact that it's impossible to talk about a Michael Jackson biopic in a complete vacuum and just say, oh, look at this trailer. It's impossible because it is a biopic movie. And even if the movie takes creative liberties and licenses, it's still built and made in the context of his life. So just want to put that out there. Let's talk about the trailer itself. Look, I am somebody who, of course, everybody knows Michael Jackson's music. I mean, it's famous, it's iconic, it's some of the greatest music ever created. I think we can all agree, or at least if not the greatest, right? Because maybe and we can get on a whole tangent about this, about the subjectivity of music and art and things like that. But perhaps I think this is true at the very least. Some of the most influential music ever made is Michael Jackson's music. So we all know that, right? We all know the music that he's made. But again, right? I mean, I'm somebody who didn't grow up listening to Michael Jackson. I've heard his songs, obviously. So I don't have an inherent attachment to the music of Michael Jackson as they would with some of my favorite singers today, for example. But obviously, you know the magnitude of Michael Jackson. Again, to just quickly reiterate that, yes, there were things that happened with him in his life and things that he, let's just say, was in the news for later on in his life that are irrelevant to his biopic. And there were questions about whether or not this movie would deal with some of the messier things in his life or not. It seemed like, from what I had heard, that the movie was going to try to address some of these things, because it almost feels like if you just simply gloss it over completely, it would be a very incomplete picture of the person, which maybe that was the intention from the people making this movie. But and you can dispute and argue whether or not that's the right thing to do. But again, I mean, it would be an incomplete picture, right? So I was very curious just to see from this first trailer, what was the image going to be? And frankly, I mean, it's a teaser trailer, right? It's a first trailer. The movie's going to be coming out in April. It seems like it's very focused on him as a musician. In the trailer, and it's not selling itself as a movie about come watch the Michael Jackson biopic where you get to see all the drama unfold. It doesn't seem like it's going in that direction. It seems like just from the trailer that it's going to be focused on the music. And again, if this movie, and it's not, I recognize that it's not, if this movie was about a fictional character, a completely fictional character, and the movie was like, hey, let's just look at how a great musician was born, then people would be like, okay, great, fine. But the fact that there are other things that need to be, or that should be, or that could be, rather, discussed about Michael Jackson and his life, and if the movie decides to gloss it over and decides to just talk about the music part, I think that it would cause people would be in a stir, to be quite frank. And again, I think that there are other people who would much prefer that movie. So I think that this movie, I'm not going to say that this movie is in a lose-lose situation. I don't think so. But I also think that this movie has to walk an incredibly fine line between a lot of different things going on. And from this first trailer, I'm not going to say that there's any way you could make a safe trailer just based on what the subject material is. But I think that this trailer was maybe just trying to just say, hey, we loved Michael Jackson's music. This is a movie about Michael Jackson and him as a musician and as an artist. I haven't seen the trailer 20 times, so I haven't freeze framed on every shot. Maybe there are some shots in there that speak to it, other things about his life. But I think that is the focus, at least, of the trailer is about him as a musician. And I don't know if that's going to speak to what the movie is going to be about, or whether or not they just want to save some stuff for future trailers, or they just want the movie to unfold in a certain way, but want to advertise it in this way. I don't know. This is going to be a fascinating movie. I think the discourse around the movie alone is going to be just worth the price of admission anyways. But I'm very curious to see not only what the movie turns out to be, but how they actually market this movie. Again, as somebody who obviously admires Michael Jackson's music because just of how influential he is, but doesn't have any emotional attachment to it, I'm just here to observe and just to see how they decide to take this movie and what kind of routes they did, how they decide to unveil the story. I think, though, we are going to be in for a fascinating 6 months until this movie comes out about discourse and just to see how people receive this movie. But guys, the first trailer from Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic, is out. What do you guys think of it? And let me know in the comments down below.